The IDF says their infantry forces and tanks entered the Gaza Strip yesterday, and a full-scale ground attack is imminent. More than 1,300 Israelis, around 1,800 Palestinians, and at least 27 Americans have died so far. One of the senior leaders of Hamas just said on TV that the Palestinian people will not leave Gaza. So what's next? Distinguished professor at Torah University and Middle East analyst Thane Rosenbaum joins us. Also with us is freelance journalist Josh Haston, and our special guest, Dr. Ganta Ahmad, senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum. So, Josh, let me start with you. What's it like right now in Israel, which is just completely on edge? What's this last week been like?
Yeah, absolutely on edge. That's to put it mildly. I mean, you had the most Jews murdered, massacred since the Holocaust over the past 75 years, unprecedented here in the state of Israel. So everyone is on edge, but I am confident, as the Prime Minister said, ultimately we will win. We will defeat the evil, which is Hamas, who carried out this pogrom, and that's exactly what it is, a pogrom against the state of Israel and the Jewish people. They came over here targeting Jews. That was their goal. This isn't about land. This isn't about conflict. This is about murdering Jews. And unfortunately, they caught us off guard last week. But as the Prime Minister said, we are confident, even though these are terrifying times and literally funerals each and every day, we will defeat Hamas at the end. We are coming for Hamas. And I'm confident at the end of the day, good will prevail over evil. And please God, it should happen very, very soon.
So, Thane, the unity government that Netanyahu agreed to, in practical terms, what, if anything, changes?
Well, remember, Rob, for a number of months there were protests, pro-democracy protests, and there's no doubt that those protests dealing with the judicial overhaul forced, and I think the investigations will eventually reveal, that the Israelis lost sort of their edge on border control because they were focusing on the judicial overhaul. But these are Zionists, Rob. These are 9 million people that believe in the Jewish homeland. There may have been political divisions, and they still exist in the Knesset, but not today. Now you have 9 million people, all of whom have served in the IDF, all of whom are patriotic. It's not like in the United States after 9/11, bizarrely, we had Americans that were anti-war and really wanted us to restrain themselves. That's not what's going on in Israel. They're going to go down to the last one swinging. So I think what you have here is a show of unity and support that even political enemies that were in incredible conflict over the last 6 months or so now are together. And by the way, one of whom is a former chief of staff of the IDF.
Dr. Ahmed, let me ask you, it's always precarious in Israel and the Middle East. How does this not spill into a greater Middle Eastern war?
It's already engaging the wider Middle East, and I think that's why we're seeing some silence or restraint on comments. The United Arab Emirates has already condemned the atrocities against Israel, as has Bahrain. Saudi Arabia, you see, is meeting now with Secretary of State Antony Blinken and beginning to be very concerned about the humanitarian conditions for the Palestinian people. There's pressure on Egypt to open up the border at Rafah to release the civilians. And Egypt does not want to invite Hamas in. So it has already engaged the wider region. But we must never miss an opportunity to say Hamas does not represent the Palestinian people. Hamas is an Islamist, jihadist, terrorist movement. It knew very well when it conducted those atrocious killings, the murder of women, children, elderly people, taking demented people from nursing homes, people that are completely vulnerable, murdering of infants in their cradles. They knew the response it would trigger. This is almost them luring Israel into a very heavy conflict, but Israel has rightful membership, rightful conduct, and rightful place in the international community, and will issue and is issuing a proportionate response. It's very devastating, the amount of human suffering that we're about to see.
Thane, let me ask you, the U.S.-Israel relationship was always so strong under both Republican and Democratic presidencies until Barack Obama came along. He and now Joe Biden have wagged their finger at Israel and stuck their nose in Israel's politics. Biden even called Netanyahu's government recently as extreme. He injected himself into this whole judicial event there, right? So when America is seen as wavering in its support for Israel, how can it not embolden Iran and its proxies like Hamas?
Rob, it did, right? I think you and I probably agree. It did. Forget the $6 billion. I could care less about that. It's a tone. It's a messaging. The criticism of our Democratic ally, literally the lack of a sense of loyalty to recognize that it's not just a democracy, but it is to a large extent surrounded by enemies. And the Abraham Accords was such a good progress in that. And so the overtures extended to Iran. And remember, the Biden foreign policy team, Blinken, O'Malley, Sullivan, these three of them, one of them is no longer in the government, they are responsible for the Iran deal. They have been the strongest supporters of an alliance between the United States and Iran. So I think Iran got the message that Israel is weaker, they're conciliatory, and maybe this is a time to not just aid Hamas in funding, but in training. People forget Hamas in all the other campaigns against Israel was incompetent. They couldn't do anything. Their rockets landed in open fields. This was a major elite commando operation that could not have been done without Iran's training.
Thane, I appreciate you coming on today. Josh, please be safe, and our prayers are with you.